He was one of the most enigmatic, controversial, and powerful figures of the 20th century. A man who transformed a desert kingdom into an oil-rich fortress. Some called him a visionary, others a madman. This is the rise, reign, and brutal fall of Libya's strongman, Muammar Gaddafi. In 1969, a 27-year-old military officer overthrew Libya's monarchy without firing a single shot. What followed was 42 years of absolute rule, marked by extremes, prosperity and paranoia, dreams of Pan-African unity, and nightmares of torture and terror. Born in 1942 under an Italian-occupied Libya, Gaddafi came into the world in a Bedouin tent. Raised among nomads, his earliest memories were steeped in tales of colonial resistance. His grandfather, killed fighting Italians. His father, a war veteran. From the beginning, rebellion ran in his blood. He attended Quranic schools, immersed himself in Islam, and by the time he was 17, he wasn't dreaming of becoming rich or famous. He was dreaming of revolution. Inspired by Egypt's Gamal Abdel Nasser and his calls for Arab unity, Gaddafi idolized revolutionaries and organized protests in high school. When he was expelled for political activism, it only deepened his resolve. He joined the military but didn't trust his older commanders. Instead, he created a secret group of loyal, like-minded young officers, the Free Unionist officers. Their goal? Overthrow the monarchy and reclaim Libya for Libyans. September 1st, 1969. While King Idris was in Turkey for medical treatment, Gaddafi struck. The coup was swift, no bloodshed, no resistance. By sundown, Libya was no longer a kingdom, it was a republic. And its new ruler? A young colonel barely in his 30s. At first, things changed, fast. Gaddafi expelled foreign troops, nationalized oil, and demanded better deals from Western companies. His message was simple: Libya belongs to Libyans. And it worked. Oil revenue poured in. Education and healthcare became free. Electricity, housing, and even marriage grants were introduced. Libya's Human Development Index soared. By 2011, it was the highest in Africa. His most ambitious project? The Great Man-Made River, a massive engineering feat to bring fresh water to the desert. But beneath this rising tide of progress, shadows were growing. Gaddafi's Libya became a police state. Political opponents disappeared. Torture chambers operated in secret. Dissidents were hunted, even abroad. He used revolutionary committees like a private militia, young, loyal, and brutal. Meanwhile, international outrage brewed. Gaddafi was accused of funding terrorism, from the IRA to the PLO. Western leaders called him the mad dog of the Middle East. By the 1980s, he was an international pariah. But he was far from finished. In the late 1990s, Gaddafi surprised the world. He renounced weapons of mass destruction, paid compensation for terror attacks, and even shook hands with world leaders. For a moment, it looked like the dictator had rebranded himself. But beneath the suits and diplomacy, the iron fist remained. In 2011, a wave of uprisings swept the Arab world. Tunisia, Egypt, Syria, and then Libya. When protests erupted, Gaddafi responded with fire and fury. Airstrikes on his own people. Cities turned into war zones. The world intervened. To some, Muammar Gaddafi was a hero who defied the West, brought prosperity, and united a fractured nation. To others, he was a tyrant, a ruthless megalomaniac who crushed freedom and ruled through fear. One thing's certain, Libya has never been the same since his fall, and the world may never see another leader quite like Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. Revolutionary, dictator, visionary, monster. Gaddafi was all of these, and more. His story is not just about one man. It's about power, ambition, and the price of both. Libya's oil-rich dictatorship on the brink of collapse, and the world watching closely. Despite Gaddafi's efforts to reintegrate Libya into the international community, renouncing weapons of mass destruction, compensating Lockerbie bombing victims, and even cooperating in the fight against terrorism, the old scars of dictatorship hadn't healed. Widespread human rights abuses, torture, arbitrary arrests, and a system built around one man's iron grip all simmered beneath the surface. Then came the spark, the Arab Spring. In January 2011, Following the revolutionary waves in Tunisia and Egypt, protests erupted in Benghazi. Citizens, emboldened by regional change, took to the streets calling for reforms. But within days it became clear this wasn't just a protest, it was a revolution. On February 17th, the Day of Rage exploded across Libya. Protesters, students, and defected soldiers challenged the regime. Gaddafi's response was brutal. He ordered military crackdowns, airstrikes on demonstrators, and mass arrests. The world watched in horror. As Gaddafi's forces pushed toward Benghazi, fears of a massacre spread rapidly. Western leaders warned of a humanitarian catastrophe. U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton urged swift military intervention. President Obama agreed. On March 17, 2011, the United Nations Security Council passed Resolution 1973, authorizing all necessary measures to protect civilians. It was the green light for NATO airstrikes. The goal? Stop the bloodshed. The reality? Regime change. French Mirage jets, U.S. Tomahawk missiles, and British bombers began pounding Libyan military targets. Gaddafi's power began to unravel. Rebel forces, once fragmented, gained momentum under NATO's aerial cover. But chaos wasn't exclusive to Gaddafi's side. Amnesty International reported widespread human rights violations by rebel groups, summary executions, ethnic cleansing, and torture. Libya descended into a complex, multi-sided civil war. As Tripoli fell in August 2011, Gaddafi released one of his final public addresses. There is a conspiracy to control Libyan oil, to colonize Libya again. We will fight until the last man and woman. But his words fell on a country slipping from his grasp. On October 20th, 2011, Muammar Gaddafi was found hiding in a drain pipe near his hometown of Sirte. Bloodied, dazed, and surrounded, the man who had ruled Libya for 42 years met his end at the hands of rebel fighters. He was captured, beaten, and killed on the spot. His body was displayed in Misrata, an unceremonious ending for a leader who once styled himself the King of Kings of Africa. Libyans celebrated Gaddafi's fall, hopeful that a new democratic era would dawn. But the vacuum he left behind unleashed tribal rivalries, militant factions, and chaos. A decade later, Libya remains fractured. Two rival governments, countless militias, and foreign interests continue to battle for control. The oil-rich country is now a hotspot for human trafficking, mercenary warfare, and instability. Muammar Gaddafi's legacy is one of contradiction. A man who gave Libya free education and healthcare, yet ruled through fear. A Pan-African visionary who dreamed of unity, yet left behind division. A strong man who stood up to the West, only to fall with its help. His story is a warning and a lesson for nations caught between reform and repression. Thank you for watching Deep Dive into the life, power, and fall of Muammar Gaddafi. If you found it insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe